Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Giorgio, your friendly neighborhood YouTuber slash podcaster, and I'm back with a new season of Beyond Wrestling. And I appreciate those of you who had tuned in to season 1. I had a lot of great episodes that was on there. The Alexa Bliss one is at 400 views or listens, on the YouTube platform alone. And I'm just grateful for anyone who takes a chance to check out my podcast, and I try to make it interesting. And basically the purpose of Beyond Wrestling is to be an education on wrestling history for those who may not be familiar with how wrestling became popular to begin with, how wrestling had millions and millions of viewers who tuned in every single week during the 90s. That was such a hot period of wrestling that, in my personal opinion, I don't feel will ever come back. It's hard because it was just a different time period. But nonetheless, I just want to share with you all some of my favorite historic moments in wrestling and talk about some of your favorite historic moments in wrestling, and to break down some terminology as well. But for this new episode right here, I'm going to be talking about the Undertaker Last Ride documentary, more specifically the first 2 episodes. And I really love these type of documentaries and this kind of content, because we get to learn about what made a wrestler great, and it's kind of what I do on this show. And I really did love what WWE did with this Undertaker documentary, because we got to see all of the hardships, mental and physically, that this man had to go through in order to get ready for WrestleMania every year. And it was all because of his loyalty to Vince McMahon, and we also saw why he felt bad about the Undertaker versus Roman Reigns matchup as well, because that match right there was something else. And I do think it was just a chemistry thing as well. Maybe they just didn't have the right chemistry in that particular matchup, and it probably showed there. And the thing is, we all know Roman Reigns is a true professional, so is the Undertaker. It was just one of those bad nights at the office. That doesn't always happen. And even the best of wrestlers have those worst nights. It just happens sometimes, But, I want to talk to you all about, the first time that I saw The Undertaker, and that was at the Bad Blood 1997, which was In Your House. I think that was one of the last In Your House pay-per-views, which, ironically enough, they are bringing back the In Your House pay-per-view for NXT TakeOver. But nonetheless, Bad Blood 1997, when the Undertaker fought Shawn Michaels in Hell in a Cell, that was the first time I saw him, and I was just like, wow, he had everything that you could want in a wrestler. And there's no way you can watch that match and not be a fan or not want to see more, Undertaker was just so dominant in that matchup, and considering everything that Shawn Michaels did to him leading up to that matchup, it was only right that Undertaker would get that amount of revenge on the Heartbreak Kid. And that's just really, really cool if you ask me. And then I think, from there, I became a fan of wrestling, and I became a fan of The Undertaker. But there was a brief period where I had kind of, I was watching wrestling, but at the same time, I was focusing on other things. So, then when I first started watching it full time again, Undertaker was a part of the whole Ministry of Darkness. And that was a really, really unique, storyline right there, because we really saw how dark The Undertaker could be. He kind of got back into the dark origins of that character that he originally had when he first debuted it in the WWE or the WWF back then, because that's what it was called. That's what the company was called. But and then after that, the Undertaker, he left. He went off. He went away for a while, and he come back as the American Badass. And everybody loves that character. He was just so cool. He was like that cool, that cool comic book character, almost like Ghost Rider in a way, And I kind of wish, we could have saw, like, obviously we couldn't have crowds this year due to, what's going on in the world. But I would have loved the Undertaker to come back as like a Ghost Rider type of character, with a mixture of the American Badass. And you can have fire coming off the motorcycle as he rides it down the ramp, something like that. But nonetheless, this documentary, it also talked about, the Undertaker when he faced Brock Lesnar, and he got concussed somewhere in the matchup, and he just forgot what happened after that. And that also shows you the level of class and stuff that Brock Lesnar had, and professionalism that he had, because Brock pretty much carried that match, to all the way to the end. That was just the trust, I think, that they had for each other. People love to crap on Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar really did care about the Undertaker. He really did respect the Undertaker, and he took care of him in that regard, and he didn't allow the Undertaker to get hurt even more than what he did. And like I said, things happened during the matchup, and to a lot of fans, the streak shouldn't have ended, and I can understand that. But in Undertaker's mind, he was doing business, and that's what you do. And if that's what Vince McMahon wants, then that's what's going to happen. Because, at the time, Brock Lesnar was going to be going on to become a dominant force in the WWE. And by him destroying the Undertaker's streak, it did make him a legit badass. It did get him a lot of heat on him as a character, because that's what you're supposed to do. And I like that. I think, in looking back, it was the right choice. I know some people may not agree with that, but for me, if you're talking about long-term booking, Undertaker was definitely going to be going away for a while after that match, like he normally had been doing. So Brock Lesnar was still going to be there, and so you needed something to get a lot of heat on him, and that was the way to do it. Because now people will pay money to see somebody beat Brock Lesnar. And, and it was just unfortunate about, Undertaker getting hurt, getting the concussion during the match. And then they had showed, Vince going to the hospital and everything. And the thing is, a lot of people don't know this, but Brock Lesnar was also with Vince McMahon when they went to the hospital with the Undertaker to make sure he was okay. So, this notion of Brock Lesnar not caring and everything, people need to get that out of their heads. And and it just shows you that Undertaker, he's real loyal to Vince McMahon. And that was put on display here, and in a way, I can understand that, because Vince McMahon, he did a lot, for, the Undertaker at the time. He did a whole lot for him, I mean, and Undertaker, he never left the WWE or the WWF for WCW for the guaranteed money and the guaranteed contracts. And thank goodness he didn't, because as much as I love WCW, anybody that knows me personally as a wrestling fan, they know that I'm a huge fan of WCW, but they wouldn't know what to do with the Undertaker. And you saw how they messed up Bret Hart's debut, which I understand at the time with Bret Hart. When he came into WCW, they already had a hot storyline with Sting and the NWO, and Sting was going on to face Hogan, so you couldn't just immediately insert him into a big time feud right off the back. But they could have did it afterwards, because he was the one that restarted the matchup, and because he didn't want Hogan to win due to some shady cheating tactics, so they could have did something with him after that. And so I feel like if The Undertaker would have went to the WCW at that time period, I think the same thing would have happened with him. It would have been interesting to see what they would have did with him at the time. I don't see him joining the NWO. Undertaker wouldn't join the NWO if he did go to the WCW. I don't see him doing that. I think he would have been a big force on the WCW side to try to fight off the NWO as well. But we'll see. I mean, I think that it would have made for some interesting TV, but at the end of the day, Undertaker was just way too loyal to Vince McMahon and the WWF. And then and then of course they had Vince McMahon talking, and you saw that emotional, vulnerable side of Vince McMahon, because in Vince McMahon's eyes, Undertaker is probably his most valuable prospect, at least right now, because almost everyone else went on to do their own projects, and all of them are succeeding. All of the big time greats that were around during the Attitude Era and the 90s and stuff, they all went on to do their own thing, which there's nothing wrong with that. But in WWE, sometimes they take a grudge with that sometimes. But Taker has always been the one that they can rely on when something isn't going their way or someone gets hurt. And I think Undertaker takes pride in Vince McMahon being calling on him if he needs help with the big time story or whatever. So it's always that interesting aspect, and they just have that good kind of relationship with each other. And so I like that fans got to see that. And and then of course episode 2, it showed more of Undertaker's training process for getting ready for a WrestleMania matchup. And he literally had, I think he bought like this old warehouse, and he had WWE send down a ring which him and his wife helped put together. And I'm gonna get into how cool Michelle McCool, his wife, is as far as supporting him and being there for him. But it shows you the level of dedication the Undertaker has. And I feel like every wrestler who's trying to get into this business, or anyone who wants to do anything in the wrestling business, they need to watch this documentary and take notes of the dedication he has, because what Undertaker has is rare, and I think that's due to him coming up in the territories. That's another thing. And I'm gonna probably do a future episode talking about how important wrestling territories are. But Undertaker, he came up during that time in the territory system, where you learn from different great wrestling minds and workers from those different territories, and you take all that knowledge, and then of course when you do go to a major promotion, you know so much. And Taker had that, and so he got the ring made, and he started training with his wife. And another thing is we saw Primo, Primo Colon, who's Carlito's brother. And it was so cool to see that he got to train with the Undertaker and help him get ready for his WrestleMania matchup with John Cena. That was just so amazing, if you ask me. And that's something I'm sure Primo will always be able to take with him you know, and that'll be a memory he'll have for the rest of his life. Because it's not everyone, not many people can have that kind of access to the Undertaker and everything, and it shows you Undertaker, he trusted him. Like, he could have picked anybody and he picked Primo, and that's pretty dope right there. You know, and Primo, he's an excellent worker. I hate that they didn't use him to his full capacity, you know, but Undertaker must have recognized what he had, and that's pretty cool. And that's another thing in wrestling, you know, you gotta have a character. And that's the only way you're gonna get over. That's the only way they're gonna see you as a main event player, is you gotta have a character that can evolve over time. And that's what the Undertaker has, that a lot of people don't have. That's why so many people respect and revere him, because of his character and how he's able to evolve it. But and I know I mentioned how supportive his wife Michelle McCool is, and you know, man, the stuff that he went through, and she still stayed with him. That's rare quality in women nowadays, because most women would have been left the guy that put them through that kind of, you know, emotional time. And it wasn't like he was a bad husband or anything like that. It was just, you know, when you get married to a wrestler, there's a lot that comes with that. You gotta be able to handle them not being at home, and that's just with getting married to any athlete, period, or being in a relationship with any athlete, you know, or even just being friends with them or whatever. You know, you gotta deal. That's one of the aspects that comes with it. And Michelle McCool proved that she was strong enough to stand by him. She's so very supportive. You will see it. I'm not gonna spoil every single thing from this documentary, because that wouldn't be a good look whatsoever. You know, it's all I can say is this documentary is just that great. And you know, so I just really love seeing, you know, Michelle McCool, a good woman, standing by a good hard-working guy like The Undertaker. And another thing is, it makes me so sad, you know, to see that this man is willing to put his body at harm's risk at 50-something years old, just for, you know, an old promoter, you know, just for a man who's just trying to make money off of people's hard work and putting their bodies on the line. And I guess I can understand it from Undertaker's perspective, because of everything that Vince did for him. But I still think at the end of the day, you know, the Undertaker, he has to know how to say no. And this is another thing that I think with the Undertaker is, I think in his mind, you know, he wants to have that one last 25-30 minute classic. I think in his mind, he wants to know that he can still put on that one big match. And if he has that one big 25-30 minute classic, I think that is when he'll be 100% satisfied. And they've been kind of teasing Undertaker versus AJ Styles again. So I do think if the Undertaker is granted that matchup, then I do feel that it will be against AJ Styles. It shouldn't be against anyone else. You know, it shouldn't be against anybody else. You know, because it needs to be someone who knows how to work with any type of wrestler, and AJ Styles is the man to make that happen. You know, and you're guaranteed to have at least a decent quality matchup with AJ Styles, and they both, him and Undertaker, have the same passion. You know, I think you know, and before I talk about that Boneyard match, I think the match he had with John Cena, if you ask me, that could have been a great last match. I mean, I know Undertaker, he wanted to be out there longer, but you can't take up too much time, because you're taking up time from the other talent who are there full time. But I think for what it was when he faced John Cena at that year's WrestleMania, which I think it was WrestleMania 34. It was WrestleMania 34. When he faced him there, I think that was it. I think that could have been a great way to go out. Everything was done right, and I don't see what else. I don't see what else he could have done. John Cena put him over, because I know a lot of people like to say, "Oh, John Cena doesn't put over anybody," and that is just a lie. I think John Cena is one of the most hard-working, classy guys in the business. Everything that he got, he is rightfully earned that. Because it is what it is as far as what people think, but I thought that was a great matchup for the Undertaker, because John Cena's style is a little bit more simplistic or whatever, and I think that fits the Undertaker style, at least at this point of his career. He's not going to be able to do a lot of that high risk stuff, and I wouldn't want to put him in that situation either. So John Cena that could have been a great last match if you ask me. And even so, and let's talk about the Boneyard match, because that Boneyard match was damn near perfect as far as, from a cinematic aspect. I think that was the best way, at least at this point of the Undertaker's life and career, to put him in that kind of position. It was just, they really did a great job of telling a great story, of redemption and triumph, over AJ Styles. And AJ Styles got a lot of good stuff in that match too. So in my honest opinion, especially how the match ended with the Undertaker riding off into the darkness with his motorcycle at the end, and that should have been it. That could have been a great sign off. I think the more Undertaker still tries to wrestle, it will hurt his legacy. He shouldn't have had those matches in Saudi Arabia. The tag team match versus DX. He shouldn't have had the match with Goldberg. And what happened in that match with Goldberg was not the Undertaker's fault. It was not entirely the Undertaker's fault. That was more on Goldberg. Undertaker, if you're gonna put him in the ring, it should be in the ring with a guy who's a little bit younger, who's more agile, more athletic, but also is a safe worker. And that's the only way it's gonna work with the Undertaker. You can't put him in the ring with guys who are just as old as he is, or who's almost past their prime. You can't do that and expect positive results. In those Saudi Arabia matches, I just wish those matches didn't happen. And I love Goldberg. I'm a big Goldberg fan. Don't get me wrong about that. I'll never forget how nice Goldberg was to me on Twitter when I had made a gameplay video for WWE 2K19, and he retweeted it. He helped me get a lot of views on that video, so I will always be grateful for Goldberg as a person. And hey, accidents happen. It wasn't like Goldberg was intentionally trying to hurt the Undertaker, because I know a lot of people will try to want to paint that narrative about him, but Goldberg wasn't. I'm sure he went into that match not with the intention to severely injure the Undertaker. It was just a matter of Goldberg thought he was strong enough to lift the Undertaker up, and he couldn't do it. And another thing you all have to consider is, Goldberg. It was very hot out there. They were out in the open. That Saudi Arabia weather can be crazy. So, and Goldberg probably got gassed up too. That's another thing. Goldberg probably got gassed up around that time period that he tried to go for the jackhammer and it just didn't work. And unfortunately could have severely hurt the Undertaker, which in the episode 3 that will be coming out next Sunday, or this coming Sunday should I say, um it will go more in depth about that, and that just showed you the Undertaker don't need to be in those kind of situations. And me personally, as a fan of the Undertaker, I personally think he shouldn't be wrestling anymore, because I don't want to see the guy get hurt, then he's in a wheelchair. God forbid that doesn't happen, but if he keeps going at this route, trying to, I don't know, I think he just, it can't be just to please Vince McMahon at this point, but you never know, because we just heard about the reports for those of you who read those dirt sheets, which I'm gonna talk about those in a different episode because I got something to say about them. But there was a report the Undertaker signed a 15-year contract with the WWE, and some reports are saying that it's not a Legends contract. So I don't know if it's an ambassador role, it could be a trainer's role, which I could see that. I could see him being a trainer at the Performance Center, but I don't want to see the Undertaker in the ring like that as much anymore, because the man, he's gonna, I'm telling you guys, one wrong move and it's a wrap. Like, especially if you're not wrestling on a full-time basis, which he said in this documentary. Your body can only handle so much, and I just don't want to see the Undertaker, go down that dark route and end up getting hurt. But for in contest, all in all, with this Last Ride documentary so far, I've really been having a blast watching it and just learning about things I never knew about the Undertaker, because he's another guy that has protected his character. He's tried to protect the business, when a lot of people out there, a lot of wrestlers, they have not tried to protect the business and the integrity and what it means, to be a great character and having respect. And Undertaker, he's a guy that has always stood for that. That's the reason why he was a locker room general and leader at the time. Still is to this day. He's almost like the Godfather, pretty much. He's almost like the Godfather, man. And there's not many people like the Undertaker left in this business anymore that cares. And the thing is, Taker's not a selfish wrestler, a selfish guy in general. He will put over anyone that Vince tells him to put over. He was trying to put over, Undertaker wanted to put over Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, but he wasn't happy with the outcome. So WWE was like, hey, you know what? Since that didn't work out, we'll let you beat John Cena. That will add some kind of, good things back to his career. But I think the more the Undertaker wrestles, the more it's gonna hurt his career. And I do think if he wrestles AJ Styles again, I think maybe at SummerSlam or maybe at Survivor Series, since that's where he's debuted at, I think he will probably end up putting over AJ Styles, because AJ Styles is gonna, whoever he faces, is still gonna be there wrestling. So it doesn't make any sense to win those kind of matches, because I just think, let's say whoever it is a heel and they beat the Undertaker, it's gonna really do something for their character. And I think a lot of fans wouldn't be mad if the Undertaker lost to AJ Styles, because that's a good person to pass it on to, But nonetheless, though, this documentary was just that amazing to me. And I also been enjoying the Michael Jordan The Last Dance documentary. That's been really fun. I hate that it's over with now, because this past Sunday they had the last 2 episodes. So I thought it was so cool that we got an Undertaker documentary and we got a Michael Jordan / Chicago Bulls documentary, all in the same year. And that has been very helpful to watch during this pandemic. And and I just want to say thank you again for those of you who tune in to watch this and hear my thoughts on the Undertaker and how I discovered him, and and I shared some of my thoughts of how how I would book him in going forward, and I don't see Undertaker working anywhere else, to be honest. I don't see him going anywhere else. He's not gonna show up in no AEW or any other place. You know, he may do some Comic Con type signings and stuff, but there won't be that many of them. You know, the next time we'll see the Undertaker is gonna mean something. I think that's what he wants. He wants, whenever we see that character, you know, that we be like, wow, you know, that's what he wants. He don't want it to just be for nothing, and that's something that I can truly appreciate. And so yeah, so I think that's where we're gonna end this first episode of season 2 of Beyond Wrestling. And I think you guys are really gonna love episode 2, because we're gonna dive into some more historic stuff as far as like you know, what wrestling means and everything. And we're also gonna be talking about a certain documentary that's been appearing on TV recently in the Dark Side of the Ring. I won't tell you what topics are from that documentary that I'm going to be covering, because you got to keep people wondering, but that is a hint right there. It's going to be really fun to talk about that. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to incorporate like you know, just some cool little topics and background stuff for it, like to make it a visually appealing thing. But make sure you check this podcast out on all the major podcast networks. The visual version of this will be on YouTube, of course, you know, but I know a lot of people like to listen to these shows on the go. I don't like to make these shows too long, because I know some people got short attention spans these days. But you know, maybe you all can answer, what is the ideal length for you as far as your favorite podcast? Like, how long would you like an episode to be? You know, I think 30 minutes is, you know, a good start for that first episode back. And then on the next episode, we'll have more topics that will probably go on into like an hour or so, you know. But I like to keep things fresh and different on here. But nonetheless, this is Giorgio, your friendly neighborhood YouTuber / podcaster. Make sure you share this podcast on your social media. Share it around to get the word out there. Check out the Teespring store, because I got some really cool designs on there that are very affordable. Just stay tuned, because I got some exciting things coming on this podcast. Anyways, you all be safe out there. Be blessed. And I'll catch you all next time on Beyond Wrestling.